Nitzavim-Vayelech Chamishi. Vayikra Moshe leYeshua v'yemer Elov le'nei kol Yisrael chazak v'amatz. Moshe calls Yeshua over in front of all the Yidden and he tells them, be strong, be strengthened. You're going to take the Yidden and entire Yisrael. So the Pashup Pshat is that Moshe said to Yeshua in front of all the Yidden, I saw b'shem, I don't remember, sorry. He says, Moshe said to Yeshua, le'nei kol Yisrael chazak v'amatz. To the eyes of the Yidden be strong and be strengthened. Why? Because Moshe knew that Yeshua was a very big onof. But to be a king, to be a leader, a person needs to be able to lay down the law. He has to put his foot down sometimes. So he said, you want to be an onof? He goes on to, hey, be an onof in your house, with your wife, with your kids. But le'enei kol Yisrael, you got to be chazak ve'amat, you got to be strong. And we could learn something from that with the Yitzhahar also. A lot of times, the Chassidus trying to say, they say, Hillel was an onof. And to him, the pasuk says, Ki Hillel Rasha al tavas nafshay. The Rasha praises himself for all his taivas, for all the bad things that he did. So I say that Ki Hillel Rasha, he was an onof al tavas nafshay, in order to be misapek himself his Yitzhahara. If he would have put his foot down and said, you know who I am, I'm a ben melech, I'm a prince, Hashem is my father, he wouldn't have felt to what he felt. The Yitzhahara will let a person be, who am I? Going to hell anyway, All of a sudden you become onof. When you try to do good, a guy sits down to learn, all of a sudden the Torah reminds him all his past, all the affairs that he did. Who are you? You're going to learn Torah? And he says, you're right. He's a big honor all of a sudden. The first Shleima, he says, Ein mavir al mitzvah. You're not allowed to pass over mitzvah. Mitzvah bel yodcha dach mitzvah. You have a mitzvah in front of you, you're not allowed to skip over. You got to do it. It's first come, first serve. But he explains, Ein mavir al mitzvahs. Ein mavirin. You don't take any averis into account. Ala mitzvahs, when it comes time to mitzvah. You daven Shemayim after the Yitzhar comes and it tries to remind you all the bad things. You say, okay, later, soon. Yom Kippur is coming, we'll make a cheshbon. Right now I'm doing a mitzvah. There's nothing to talk about. And Pasuk Yud Aleph in Yud, we have a mitzvah, one of the last few mitzvahs in the Torah, a mitzvah of Hakel. Now, Motzei Shemitah is a mitzvah of all the Yidden when they go in the Aryeh Regel. The king comes and he reads for them the Sefer Torah. They gather by the Beis HaMikdash. They gather in the Azara. They build a whole beam on the. So what's the inyan of the mitzvah? So I saw b'shem the Imrei Emes. Imrei Emes, it's not clear what he wants to say, but the Imrei Emes says that the ikar mitzvah of Hakel is not really the kriya of the Torah. The mitzvah of Hakel is the mitzvah of that Klal Yisrael should come together. Achdus, the asifa. That's the ikar mitzvah. I saw in the Pardes Yosef, I think, he brings from the Rameir Arik, who has a Sefer Tal Torah ala Torah. He says a different malach. He says interesting. What's the Indian that Davka once every 7 years on Motzei Shemitah we have this mitzvah to gather. So he says that after Shemitah, the Torah, even if you had a field, you were a farmer, you had dunams and acres of land. The Torah made it hefker. So normally poor people would come to you, they'd ask you kayav. You'd say, yeah, sure, help yourself. Go pick an apple from the tree, whatever you want. But now it wasn't yours. So you were lacking in the mitzvah of tzedakah in the Shemitah year. So because the equilibrium, the balance of the mitzvahs, that in the year of Shemitah there was a lack in the mitzvah of tzedakah, so Torah gave a different mitzvah to kind of rebalance the scale. So I wanted to say that we could use this to answer up to Imrei Emes, because in Likutei Moharan, Chelik Aleph Siman Yud Zayin, Rav Nachman says over there, based on a pasuk, Hoin Yosef Reim Rabim, Hoin, by giving money to a tzaddik, or to poor people, or to someone who's koilel a lot of nefashos, he says, the neshama koilelas. When you give somebody money, it creates reyos. You give someone money, this person was lacking, and you filled up his lack, and now he has good feelings towards you. It creates a good avir, a good avirah, a good aura, and it creates ava ben Klal Yisrael. So because in the year of Shemitah this was lacking, the mitzvah of tzedakah was lacking, there was automatically there was lacking this idea of achdus that was normally created by tzedakah. So that's why we understand the Imrei Emes, that the ikar mitzvah of Hakel on the Motzei Shemitah was, like the Rameir Arik says, to refill the lack of tzedakah, but it had to be through asifa, it had to be coming together physically. It wasn't enough, you give tzedakah now, create a good avirah. You had to actually physically come together, and everyone had to live together in Yerushalayim and grow in their avas Yisrael. And that takes us to Shishi.